Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Dominion. His dark blue skin reflected the soft glow of the control panels around him. The Zephyrian commander had served the Galactic Council for over 40 years, and he had never seen anything like what was happening now. The communication screen flickered to life. Council Speaker Velthara appeared, her silver robes marking her high rank among the Alterans. Her face was serious, more serious than Kethvar had ever seen it. "Admiral," she began, her voice carrying across the bridge, "we have a problem. The humans have crossed the line." Kethvar's forearms moved across his control panel. He pulled up the star charts that showed the Outer Rim territories. Red markers appeared on the screen, showing human ships and settlements. They were everywhere, in the Kepler expanse. "How many?" he asked. "3 full colonies. Mining operations on 12 asteroids. And they're still coming." Velthara paused. "They've violated the Preservation Accords." The Preservation Accords were sacred law among the 12 species of the Galactic Council. The Kepler expanse was forbidden territory, too dangerous, too unpredictable. The ancient machines that floated there had killed thousands of explorers over the centuries. Energy storms could tear ships apart in seconds. Gravity fields changed without warning. "The humans claim they didn't know about the Accords," Velthara continued. "They say no one told them about the rules." Kethvar made a sound of disgust. The humans were still children in space, only 200 years since they first left their home planet. The Zephyrians had been traveling the stars for over 5,000 years. The Nexari even longer. "What are the Council's orders?" he asked. "Give them 72 hours to leave, all of them. If they refuse..." Velthara's image flickered. "Use whatever force is necessary." The transmission ended. Kethvar looked at the star chart again. The human settlements glowed like tiny suns in the darkness of the expanse. He had read reports about humans before. They were stubborn. They built homes in the strangest places. They had colonies on planets that should have killed them within days. His tactical officer, a tall Nexari with glowing eyes, approached. "Admiral, shall I prepare the fleet?" "Yes," Kethvar said. "Send word to all ships. We move to the Kepler expanse." Far away in the heart of the Forbidden Zone, Captain Sarah Chen received the transmission aboard her colony ship New Horizon. She was helping repair a damaged mining platform near a neutron star. The work was dangerous, but her crew had done it 100 times before. The message from the Galactic Council played on her personal screen. Sarah watched it twice, then called her senior staff to the bridge. "They want us to leave," she told them. Commander Rodriguez, her first officer, shook his head. 3 colonies, 15,000 people, we can't just pack up and go." "They're giving us 3 days," Sarah said. Dr. Martinez, the chief scientist, pulled up data on his tablet. "We've invested 2 years in these settlements. The mining operations alone are worth billions, and the research..." "What research?" Sarah asked. Martinez hesitated. "We've been studying the ancient machines, the ones that attack other ships. They don't attack us." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" "I mean they ignore us completely. Ships from other species get torn apart if they come too close. But we can fly right past them. Some of our miners have even been inside the larger structures." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew the stories about the ancient machines. They were older than any known civilization. They had weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The energy storms around them were said to be their defensive systems. "Have you told Earth about this?" Sarah asked. "Not yet. We wanted to study them more first." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The nearest human colony was New Eden, built on a planet that experienced energy storms every few hours. The colonists had learned to use the storms to power their cities. What should have killed them had made them stronger. "Send a message to Director Webb on New Eden," she ordered. "Tell him about the Council's ultimatum. And Martinez..." "Yes, Captain?" "Start writing that report about the machines. Send it to Earth on the next data burst." Hours later, as her crew continued repairs on the mining platform, Sarah stood in her quarters looking out at the swirling colors of a nearby energy storm. The sight should have terrified her. Instead, it was beautiful. Her door chimed. "Come in." Rodriguez entered, his face grim. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships, big ones. They're heading this way." Sarah nodded. She had expected this. The Galactic Council didn't make empty threats. How long until they arrive? 18 hours, maybe less. Sarah walked to her desk and activated her communication system. She needed to talk to Director Webb. She needed to talk to Earth. The Council thought they were dealing with helpless colonists who would run at the first sign of trouble. They were wrong. Sarah had grown up on Mars, in the underground cities beneath the polar ice. Her parents had been part of the first wave of terraforming crews. They had taught her that humans didn't run from difficult places. They found ways to make those places home. The Kepler expanse was dangerous. It was hostile. Energy, storms, and ancient machines made it the most feared region in known space. It was perfect for humans. "Rodriguez, send a message to all human ships in the expanse. Tell them to prepare for visitors and send word to the colonies. They need to know what's coming." As Rodriguez left to carry out her orders, Sarah returned to the window. The energy storm was growing stronger, its colors shifting from blue to purple to gold. She had seen storms like this destroy alien ships, but human vessels rode them like waves, using their power instead of fighting against it. The Galactic Council was about to learn something important about humanity. They thought the Kepler expanse was too dangerous for anyone to live in. They had never met a species that made friends with danger. Sarah's communication system beeped. A message from Earth was coming through. It would take hours to decode through all the interference from the energy storms. But she could guess what it would say. Earth had received the reports about the ancient machines. Earth had read about the human colonies thriving in impossible conditions. Earth had made a decision. The Council wanted humanity to leave the Kepler expanse. But the expanse was where humanity belonged, and humans didn't abandon their homes, not for anyone. As Sarah watched, another energy storm began to form in the distance. It would reach them in a few hours. Most species would evacuate. Most species would run. Sarah ordered her crew to prepare the ship's energy collectors. They were going to ride the storm. The Galactic Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler expanse. Admiral Kethvar stood on his bridge, studying the readings that filled his screens. What he saw made no sense. "Tactical, confirm those readings," he ordered. The young Nexari officer's glowing eyes dimmed as she focused on her instruments. "Confirmed, Admiral. 3 human colonies, multiple mining stations, and..." She paused. "Sir, they're not just surviving, they're thriving." Kethvar moved to the main display. The screen showed New Eden, the largest human colony. It was built on a planet that experienced massive energy storms every 6 hours. According to every AudioBook scientific model, nothing should be able to live there. Yet the human city sprawled across the planet's surface. Massive energy collectors reached up into the storm clouds. The city seemed to pulse with power, growing brighter during each storm. "How is this possible?" he muttered. His science officer, a brilliant Nexari named Zeflin, approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, we've been monitoring their communications. The humans have learned to use the energy storms for power. They're not hiding from them. They're harvesting them." "That's impossible. The storms are chaotic, unpredictable. Not to them, apparently. Look at this." Zeflin showed him tracking data. "Human ships move through the storms like they know exactly where the energy will flow. Our ships can't even get close without being torn apart." Kethvar felt a growing unease. The humans were supposed to be primitive, young, weak. Yet they had accomplished something that the greatest minds in the galaxy considered impossible. "Send a communication request to their leadership," he ordered. "I want to speak with whoever is in charge." The message was sent through the swirling chaos of the expanse. It took several minutes to reach the human colonies through all the interference. When the reply came back, Kethvar was surprised by what he saw. The human who appeared on his screen was older, with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore simple clothes and sat in what looked like a normal office. Nothing about him suggested power or authority. Yet when he spoke, his voice carried absolute confidence. "I'm Director Marcus Webb," the human said, "administrator of the Kepler Expanse colonies. I assume you're here about the Council's ultimatum. I am Admiral Kethvar of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You have violated the Preservation Accords. These territories are forbidden." Webb leaned back in his chair. "Forbidden by whom? We've never heard of these accords. Nobody invited us to join your council. Nobody told us about your rules." "Ignorance is not an excuse. These regions are too dangerous for colonization. Thousands have died trying to explore them." "Dangerous for who?" Webb asked. His tone was genuinely curious, not defensive. "We've been here for 2 years. We've lost 3 people. 1 mining accident, 2 medical emergencies, the storms, the gravity fields, the ancient machines. They don't seem to mind us being here." Kethvar felt his temperature rising. "The ancient machines? You've encountered the automated defense systems?" "Encountered them? We work alongside them." Webb touched something off-screen. The display changed to show a massive structure floating in space. It was clearly not human-built. The architecture was strange, flowing like it had grown rather than been constructed. "That's Station Osiris," Webb explained. "One of the ancient orbital platforms. Our xenoarchaeology team has been studying it for months. The machines that run it seem curious about us." Zeflin gasped behind Kethvar. "That's impossible. Those machines have destroyed every ship that came near them for over 3,000 years. Webb nodded. "So we've heard, but they've never attacked us. Dr. Vasquez thinks they're trying to communicate. She's made some interesting discoveries about their programming." Kethvar's 4 hands clenched into fists. This was not going according to plan. The humans were supposed to be afraid. They were supposed to understand their place in the galactic order. "Director Webb, I don't think you understand the situation. You are in violation of Council law. You will evacuate your colonies within 24 hours or we will remove you by force." For the first time, Webb's expression changed. His eyes grew hard. "Admiral, I don't think you understand our situation. This isn't just about mining rights or territory. This is about something much bigger." "Explain." Webb stood up and walked to a window. Behind him, Kethvar could see the swirling colors of an energy storm approaching the colony. "My xenoarchaeologist has been working with the ancient machines. Their computer systems are incredibly advanced. They've been dormant for thousands of years, but they're waking up." "Why now?" "Because of us. Because of humans. The machines have been waiting for someone like us. Someone who doesn't run from danger. Someone who adapts instead of avoiding." Kethvar felt a chill run through his body. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that maybe we're supposed to be here. Maybe this place was waiting for us." Webb turned back to face the screen. "Your council has spent thousands of years avoiding the dangerous places in the galaxy. We move into them and make them home. You have 24 hours, Kethvar repeated, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. "Admiral, before you do something you'll regret, I suggest you scan the outer edge of the system, about 3 astronomical units out." Kethvar gestured to his tactical officer. She worked at her console for a moment, then looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, there's something out there, something big. It's moving fast." "How fast?" "Faster than anything in our databases. And the energy signature." She paused. "It's huge, sir. Bigger than our entire fleet." Kethvar looked back at Webb, who was smiling now. "What is that?" "That, Admiral, is why you should be very careful about threatening human colonies. We may be new to space, but we learn fast. And we don't abandon our people." The communication ended. Kethvar stared at the empty screen for a long moment, then turned to his officers. "Zeflin, analyze that energy signature. I want to know what we're dealing with." "Already working on it, sir." "But, Admiral, whatever that is, it's not following any known physics. It's moving through space in ways that should be impossible." "How long until it reaches us?" "At current speed, 6 hours." Kethvar walked to his command chair. In 40 years of service, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans were supposed to be weak, backward, easy to intimidate. Instead, they had turned the most dangerous region in known space into their home. They had befriended machines that had killed thousands of explorers. And now something was coming that defied everything the Council knew about space travel. "Send a message to the Council," he ordered. "Tell them we may have underestimated the humans." As his communication officer worked, Kethvar studied the tactical display. The human colonies continued their normal operations. Ships moved through energy storms like they were gentle breezes. Mining platforms harvested resources from impossible locations. And somewhere out there, something vast was approaching. Something that moved like it owned the cosmos itself. For the first time in his career, Admiral Kethvar wondered if the Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the main laboratory aboard Station Osiris, surrounded by technology that was older than human civilization. The ancient machines hummed softly around her, their surfaces glowing with patterns that seemed almost alive. "Computer, show me the latest translation," she said. The human-built interface displayed symbols that had taken her team months to decode. The ancient machines used a language based on mathematical concepts that human minds could somehow understand. Other species had tried for thousands of years and failed. "The message is clearer now," her assistant Dr. Park said from across the room. "They're definitely trying to communicate. And Elena, I think they've been waiting." Elena nodded. She had suspected this for weeks. The ancient machines didn't attack humans because they recognized something in them. Something familiar. "Show me the deep archive files again," she said. The display changed to show data streams that the machines had kept hidden for millennia. Elena had discovered them by accident when she tried to repair a damaged section of the station. The machines had allowed her access to information that no other species had ever seen. "There," she pointed at a series of symbols. "That sequence keeps repeating. It's not just a message, it's an invitation." Dr. Park joined her at the display. An invitation to what? To become what they became. To transcend the limitations of normal space-time. Elena touched the screen, and the symbols rearranged themselves. The ancient civilization didn't die out. They evolved beyond physical form. "You mean they became energy beings?" "More than that. They became part of the fabric of reality itself. They exist in the spaces between dimensions, in the energy storms, in the gravity fields that make this region so dangerous." Dr. Park stared at the data. "And they think humans can follow the same path?" "They think humans already started. Look at our colonies. We live in energy storms. We mine gravity wells. We build homes in places that should kill us. We're not conquering hostile environments. We're learning to dance with them." A communication alert sounded through the station. Elena activated the receiver, and Director Webb's face appeared on the screen. "Elena, we have a situation. The Council fleet is here and they're demanding we evacuate. How's the research coming?" "Marcus, we're on the verge of a breakthrough. The machines aren't just ancient technology. They're a test, a way to identify species that can evolve beyond normal limitations. Can you prove it?" Elena looked at the data surrounding her. "Give me 2 hours. I think I can do more than prove it. I think I can show them." After Webb disconnected, Elena turned to her team. "Everyone, we need to work fast. Park, start the deep communication protocol. Richards, prepare the quantum resonance chamber. We're going to make contact." While Elena worked with the ancient machines, Admiral Kethvar paced his bridge as the mysterious energy signature grew closer. His science team had been analyzing the approaching object for hours. "Report," he demanded. Zeflin looked up from her instruments, her glowing eyes dimmed with confusion. "Admiral, this doesn't match anything in our databases. The object appears to be approximately 15 kilometers long, but its mass readings are inconsistent." "What do you mean inconsistent?" "Sometimes it reads as solid matter, sometimes as pure energy. It phases in and out of normal space like it's riding gravitational waves." "That's impossible." "Yes, sir, but it's happening anyway." Kethvar studied the tactical display. The approaching object moved in ways that violated everything he understood about physics. It bent space around itself, creating shortcuts through dimensions that shouldn't exist. Weapon status: all ships ready, Admiral. But sir, his tactical officer hesitated. I'm not sure our weapons would be effective against something that phases between dimensions. Before Kethavar could respond, every screen on his bridge flickered. A new communication was coming through, but not from the approaching ship. It was from the human colonies. Director Webb appeared again, but this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood a woman with excited eyes and hands covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow. Admiral Kethavar, I'd like you to meet Dr. Elena Vasquez, our xenoarchaeologist. She has something important to show you. The woman stepped forward. Admiral, the ancient machines have been trying to tell us something for thousands of years. They've finally found a way to communicate it. I don't have time for archaeology lessons, Kethavar growled. You do if you want to understand what's coming toward you. Elena gestured to something off-screen. The approaching ship isn't just human technology. It's a fusion of human engineering and ancient knowledge. We've learned to build with the same principles that create energy storms and gravity wells. The display behind Elena changed to show the approaching vessel. Kethavar gasped. It was enormous, its hull seeming to flow like liquid metal. Energy coursed across its surface in patterns that matched the ancient machines. The ship is called the Indomitable Will, Elena continued. It was built in the Sol system using technology we learned from the machines here. It doesn't just travel through space. It manipulates space. That's impossible, Zephlin whispered from behind Kethavar. Elena smiled. That's what makes it so perfectly human. We specialize in the impossible. Webb stepped forward again. Admiral, I'm going to give you the same choice your council gave us. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet from human space. After that, we stop asking nicely. Human space? This is council territory. Not anymore. Webb's voice was calm but absolute. The ancient machines have chosen us as their inheritors. This entire region now falls under human protection. We're not just colonists anymore. We're guardians. The communication ended. Kethavar stood in stunned silence for a moment, then turned to his officers. Tactical assessment. Can we fight that ship? His weapons officer, a veteran of dozens of campaigns, shook his head. Admiral, our weapons are designed to fight normal vessels. This thing, it's like trying to shoot at a ghost that can become solid when it wants to hit you back. Sir, his communications officer called out. I'm receiving multiple signals from throughout the expanse. The ancient machines, they're all activating. The main display changed to show the tactical situation. Hundreds of ancient structures that had been dormant for millennia were coming online. Their weapons systems, dormant for thousands of years, were powering up. But they weren't targeting the human colonies. They were all turning toward the Council fleet. Admiral, Zephlin said quietly, I think we need to consider the possibility that we're no longer the dominant force in this region. Kethavar looked at the approaching ship, at the ancient machines coming alive, at the human colonies that treated energy storms like gentle rain. In his 40 years of service, he had enforced council law across the galaxy. He had never encountered a situation like this. The humans weren't just refusing to leave, they were claiming the entire region as their own, and they had the power to back up their claim. Send a message to the council, he ordered. Tell them the situation has changed. Tell them the humans aren't just colonists. They're something else entirely. As his communication officer worked, Kethavar watched the Indomitable Will grow larger on his screens. In 30 minutes it would arrive, and then the council would learn what happened when they threatened a species that made friends with the impossible. The ancient machines had been waiting thousands of years for someone like humanity to arrive. Now that they had found them, they weren't going to let anyone take them away. The Indomitable Will emerged from a fold in space-time like a whale breaching the surface of an ocean. Admiral Kethavar watched in disbelief as the massive vessel seemed to step sideways through reality itself, appearing where moments before there had been empty space. 15 kilometers, his tactical officer whispered. It's 15 kilometers long. But size wasn't what made Kethavar's blood run cold. It was how the ship moved. The indomitable will didn't travel through space like other vessels. It rode gravitational waves like a surfer riding ocean swells. Energy storms that would tear apart council ships seemed to make it stronger, feeding power into its hull. "Admiral," Zephlin called out, her voice tight with fear. "I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout the ship, but the patterns, they're not following any known physics." Kethvar studied the readings. The human Dreadnought was powered by something that his instruments couldn't properly measure. Energy flowed through its hull in patterns that matched the ancient machines scattered throughout the expanse. "They've done it," he whispered. "They've actually learned to use the ancient technology." A new communication signal cut through the interference of the energy storms. The face that appeared on Kethvar's screen belonged to a human woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much combat. She wore a simple uniform, but something about her presence filled the bridge with tension. "I am Admiral Rebecca Torres of the United Human Colonial Navy," she said. Her voice was calm, but underneath it was the promise of violence. "You are trespassing in human space." "Human space?" Kethvar found his voice. "This region belongs to the Galactic Council." Torres smiled, and it wasn't a friendly expression. The Galactic Council never bothered to ask the ancient machines what they thought about that. We did. Behind Torres, Kethvar could see the bridge of the indomitable will. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Human technology blended seamlessly with ancient systems. Energy flowed through organic-looking conduits. The ship seemed alive. "You cannot claim an entire region of space," Kethvar protested. "Watch us." Torres gestured to something off-screen. "Computer, show our guests what we've learned." The tactical display on Kethvar's bridge suddenly filled with new contacts. Hundreds of ancient machines throughout the expanse were coming online. Orbital platforms that had drifted silent for millennia began to move. Weapon systems that could destroy planets powered up for the first time in thousands of years. "The ancient civilization left these machines as guardians," Torres explained. "They've been waiting for a species worthy of inheriting this region. Congratulations, Admiral. You get to witness the changing of the guard." Kethvar's tactical officer looked up from his instruments. "Sir, every ancient structure in the system is targeting us. Weapon signatures are off the charts. But they won't fire," Torres continued. "Not if you leave peacefully. The machines understand the difference between defense and slaughter. They prefer to give their enemies a chance to make the right choice." "And what choice is that?" "Leave. Acknowledge human sovereignty over the Kepler expanse. Tell your council that the rules have changed." Torres leaned forward in her chair. "Or stay and learn why this region has been forbidden for so long." Kethvar felt sweat forming on his forehead despite the cool air of his bridge. In 40 years of service, he had never faced a situation like this. The council fleet was powerful, but they were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing technology they didn't understand. "You're threatening the entire Galactic Council," he said. "No," Torres replied. "We're establishing boundaries. The Council has 12 member species. Humanity makes 13. We're claiming our place in the galaxy, and this region is where we start. The Council will never accept this. The Council will accept whatever reality we present them with." Torres stood up from her chair. "Admiral, your people have spent thousands of years avoiding the dangerous places in the galaxy. You've built your civilization on playing it safe. Humans don't work that way." She gestured to the view screen, which showed the energy storm swirling through the expanse. "You see chaos and danger. We see opportunity and power. You see ancient machines that kill intruders. We see technology, waiting for someone worthy to inherit it." Kethvar looked at his tactical display. The indomitable will was now close enough that he could see details of its hull. The surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Energy coursed through channels that pulsed like veins. The ship wasn't just built with ancient technology. It was alive with it. "How?" he asked. "How did you achieve this?" Torres smiled again, and this time it was genuine. "We asked nicely. The machines have been alone for so long. They were happy to find someone who understood them. Someone who builds homes in impossible places instead of avoiding them." "Sir," Zephlin interrupted, I'm detecting massive power buildups throughout the system. Every human ship, every colony, every ancient machine, they're all connected somehow. Torres nodded. The entire expanse is becoming a single system. The ancient machines, human technology, the energy storms themselves. We're learning to work together. What you're seeing isn't just a ship, Admiral. It's the birth of something new. Kethavar felt the weight of history pressing down on him. The Council had maintained order in the galaxy for thousands of years. They were the authority, the law, the ultimate power. But standing before him was a species that had changed the rules simply by refusing to accept them. You have 1 hour, Torres said, echoing Webb's earlier ultimatum. Withdraw your fleet beyond the expanse boundary. We'll establish formal diplomatic contact with the Council within the week. But this region now belongs to humanity. And if we refuse? Torres's expression grew serious. Then you'll discover why the ancient machines killed every explorer who came here. The difference is we can turn their weapons off just as easily as we turned them on. You'll get a chance to retreat, but you won't get a second chance. The communication ended. Kethavar stood on his bridge, surrounded by officers, who looked to him for orders. The tactical display showed his fleet of 30 ships facing off against a single human dreadnought and hundreds of ancient weapons platforms. The numbers should have favored the Council, but the humans had spent 2 years learning to work with forces that the Council feared to approach. They had made allies of things that had killed thousands of explorers. Admiral, his communications officer called out. Message from the Council, they want a status report. Kethavar looked at the display showing the indomitable will. The ship had stopped moving and now hung in space like a sleeping giant. Around it, energy storms swirled in patterns that seemed almost choreographed. Tell the Council, he said slowly, that the situation has become complicated. His tactical officer looked up from his instruments. Sir, what are your orders? Do we fight? Kethavar studied the readings one more time. Human ships moved through energy storms that would destroy his vessels. Ancient machines older than civilization itself had chosen to protect them. And somewhere in the heart of the expanse, 3 human colonies continued their daily operations, as if the fate of the galaxy wasn't being decided around them. No, he said finally. We don't fight. Not yet. Send a message to the fleet. All ships are to hold position and await further orders. As his crew carried out his commands, Kethavar wondered if he had just witnessed the end of the Council's age of dominance. The humans hadn't just settled in forbidden territory. They had claimed it, mastered it, and made it their own. And they were just getting started. Admiral Kethavar made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. With 30 minutes left on the human ultimatum, facing weapons he didn't understand and technology that defied known physics, he chose to fight. All ships attack formation, he ordered. Target the human dreadnought, fire at will. The Council fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams that could crack planets, missile salvos that could destroy space stations, and gravity, weapons that could tear holes in reality itself. The combined firepower of 30 warships lit up space like a newborn star. Admiral Torres watched the attack from the bridge of the indomitable will. She didn't give orders to return fire. She didn't need to. The massive ship simply absorbed the incoming energy. Beam weapons that should have melted through armor instead fed power into the Dreadnought's systems. Missiles designed to punch through the heaviest shields were caught by gravitational fields and redirected harmlessly into space. Impressive, Torres said calmly as explosions bloomed around her ship. They're really trying. Her tactical officer, a young man who had grown up in the Mars colonies, smiled. Should we show them what real firepower looks like? Not yet. Let them exhaust themselves first. The Council fleet poured fire into the indomitable will for 10 minutes. When their weapons finally fell silent, the human dreadnought hung in space exactly where it had been before. Its hull glowed with absorbed energy, but showed no damage. Kethavar stared at his instruments in disbelief. Damage report on the target? None, sir. If anything, the ship seems to be stronger now. Torres opened a communication channel to the Council fleet. That was educational. Your turn to learn. The indomitable will didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it reached out with gravitational manipulators and began to squeeze. Council ships found their hulls groaning under impossible pressure. Weapon systems crumpled like paper. Shield generators overloaded and shut down. But Torres wasn't trying to destroy the fleet. She was proving a point. Each council ship lost. Its weapons, its shields, and its engines. But life support remained intact. The crews remained alive. Stop. Kethavar broadcast on all frequencies. We surrender. The gravitational pressure ceased immediately. The council fleet drifted helpless in space, their ships crippled but their crews unharmed. Torres appeared on Kethavar's screen again. The ancient machines taught us that true strength isn't about destruction. It's about control. We could have vaporized your entire fleet in seconds. Instead, we chose to disable you. Why? Kethavar asked. His ship was powerless, at the mercy of the humans, but he had to know. Because we're not conquerors, we're builders. We take the impossible and make it work. That includes making former enemies into future allies. Around the disabled council fleet, human ships began to appear. But they weren't warships. They were repair vessels, medical ships, and rescue craft. Our people are coming to help with repairs, Torres explained. Your crews will be treated with full courtesy. You'll be given supplies and escort back to council space. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared on the communication channel alongside Torres. Behind her, the ancient machines of Station Osiris pulsed with gentle light. Admiral Kethavar, I need to show you something. The ancient civilization left records. They knew this day would come. The display changed to show symbols and star charts. They called themselves the architects. They spent millions of years seeding the galaxy with technology and knowledge. They were waiting for a species that could inherit their legacy. And they chose humans? They chose any species that could pass their tests. The ability to thrive in hostile environments, the willingness to adapt rather than avoid danger, the capacity to work with chaotic forces instead of trying to control them. Elena gestured to the energy storm swirling around them. We're not the first species they've tested, but we're the first to pass. Kethavar watched as human repair crews began working on his damaged ships. They moved with efficiency and care, treating his wounded crews like their own. What happens now? He asked. Director Webb joined the communication from New Eden Colony. Now we talk. The Council has spent thousands of years building a civilization based on avoiding risk. We've built one based on embracing it. There's room for both approaches. In the galaxy, the Council will never accept human dominance. We're not asking for dominance, Webb replied. We're asking for recognition. The Kepler expanse is ours. We've earned it by making it livable. But we're not planning to conquer Council space. We have better things to do. Torres gestured to something off-screen. Computer, show him the deep scan results. The display filled with star charts that extended far beyond the Kepler expanse. Hundreds of systems marked with the same symbols they had seen on the ancient machines. The architects seeded technology throughout the galaxy, Torres explained. Most of it in places too dangerous for normal settlement. Black hole clusters, neutron star fields, the galactic core itself. We're planning to visit all of them. Elena nodded enthusiastically. Each site contains knowledge that could advance civilization by thousands of years. Medical technology, energy production, space-time manipulation. But only species that can survive in impossible conditions can claim it. You're talking about a fundamental change in galactic civilization, Kethavar said. We're talking about evolution, Webb corrected. The safe species can continue being safe. The risk-takers can push the boundaries. Everyone benefits from the knowledge we discover. Torres stood up from her chair. Admiral, you'll be escorted back to Council space. Within the day. When you report to your superiors, give them this message. Humanity is claiming its place among the stars. We're not asking permission, but we're offering partnership. What kind of partnership? The Council keeps order in the safe regions. We explore the dangerous ones. When we find something useful, we share it. When the Council faces threats they can't handle, we help. Equal partners, different specialties, Dr. Vasquez added. The ancient machines are already sharing medical technology that could extend lifespans across all species, energy production methods that could end resource conflicts, transportation systems that make faster-than-light travel. Look primitive. And all we had to do was ask nicely, Torres said with a smile. Hours later, as Kethvar's fleet limped away from the Kepler expanse under human escort, he watched the indomitable will disappear into another fold in space-time. The massive ship was heading deeper into the galaxy, toward regions that no sane species would ever explore. Director Webb sent a final message as the Council ships reached the edge of human space. Tell your superiors that this is just the beginning. We're humans. We don't do anything small. The communication ended, leaving Kethvar alone with his thoughts. He had arrived to enforce Council law and remove illegal settlers. Instead, he had witnessed the birth of a new kind of civilization. On his personal screen, he composed his report to the Council. How do you explain that the humans hadn't just violated the Preservation Accords? They had made those accords irrelevant. They had claimed not just forbidden territory, but forbidden knowledge itself. The galaxy was about to change in ways that no one could predict. The age of playing it safe was ending. The age of the impossible had begun. And somewhere in the depths of space, moving through regions that existed between dimensions, the indomitable will carried humanity toward its next impossible destination. Humans had kept their promise. They had warned everyone that their dreadnought was closing in. No one had realized they were talking about the approach of humanity itself.